Thank you very much. I thought I was going to speak to the computer. I didn't know there were people who were going to be sitting in front of me. So when it was explained was that it's like a Zoom, and thank you for once more receiving the EFF. I said to my brother, we may not be friends with RMB or any of the capitalist institution, but we coexist in the same environment, and we ought to understand one another because our ideological differences shouldn't mean enmity. So we don't see RMB, whatever other financial institution, as an enemy. We see them as institutions that needs to be transformed. Our policies are very simple. Our battle cry is land, jobs, and stop load shedding. So we seek to expropriate land and without compensation, because the land was never compensated when it was taken. And someone says, no, don't scare investors, but even investors are scared of the truth, they can run. The reality is this land was stolen through the wars of dispossession, and people were killed. And the only way to reverse that pain is to restore the land back into the hands of the people. What happens to these beautiful buildings that are on top of this land? They remain RMB buildings, but this is our land. They should know that their building is sitting on top of our land. And if they decide to do anything on this land, which is not in line with what they occupied the land for, they should seek permission from the state. If they no longer have any use for this land, they should report so to the state so that it can be reallocated to an alternative person who will put this land to use. This will not be done through the army. It will be done through constitutional consultation, because our constitution allows amendments. So if you do, because if all of you, when you argue, say, follow the constitution. We've got the best constitution in the world. But when we follow the constitution and amend it, it is a problem when it's not favorable. So we want all of the land to be in the hands of the state, so that when the state wants to make an allocation, there is no difficulty. Today, everything else is cheap except the land. It might be very expensive to buy this land and very cheap to build this beautiful building. Why should it be? The land must be available to those who are going to use it, and those who don't use it, they must lose it. Someone says foreign direct investment does not invest where it doesn't own the land. It's not true. All special economic development zones in South Africa, the land is owned by government, and foreign investment put its investment on the land that is owned by government. So it shouldn't be inconsistent argument that no, when the state owns the land, the people will not invest on that land when they are investing on it now. If there is any economic development happening in any big economic development zones, go and check the ownership of that land. It's a state-owned land. We need to do jobs. You cannot do jobs without industrialization. We need to industrialize. Even the Bantustan, the smallest states of black people during apartheid, they had factories. There is no single Bantustan leader, be it Mangope, be it Ntsangwesi, be it whatever, including Buthelezi. All of them, if you go into their areas, they are industrial sites during apartheid by Bantustan government. Tell me now of any industrialization that has been state-led, and then we complain about jobs. Very rich in minerals. All those minerals are extracted from our land, and they are put on top of a truck to Richards Bay. When you look at that, you say, no, it's chrome. It's not chrome. It's jobs in a truck transported to China to go and do job creation in China. Because that chrome, when processed here, we don't even clean it here. So when processed here, you can imagine how many jobs can be done. So we need state ownership of the mines So when we say nationalization of the mines, we don't mean we're going to take a mine of Anglo-American and nationalize it. We mean the state must have its own mining company, which will be given preference, especially on profitable minerals. Let's go to Mokopane, for instance. The platinum in Mokopane, Anglo-American is no longer mining. When it gets mining rights, it outsources the mining to other companies. But Mokopane, they are mining it themselves directly. Why? The platinum is just here. It's the most profitable mine of platinum. And that, if was owned by the state, how many jobs were we going to create? With that money of that platinum alone, how many social responsibilities can we attend to with that money alone? How do we do that? The state is not driven by profit. The state, with its money, is able to reinvest in the social well-being of our people. Let's take diamond. De Beers says we cannot touch diamond. Those are the Oppenheimers. They go to Botswana. They give the government of Botswana 50% ownership of the diamond. When it comes to South Africa, the same company owned by the same people are refusing to do that. What does the government of Botswana do with the 50% profit they make in the diamond? They invest it in the social beings of the children of Botswana. All children of Botswana, everywhere in the world, get a stipend every month. When I was in Washington, D.C., some other time in my previous life, in a wrong organization, I happened to come across the Botswana students and I sat with them. At that time, they were getting 5,000 rand, apart from everything else being paid for. 5,000 rand. My mother went to the grave without earning 5,000 rand. Students are given 5,000 rand from minerals. The last point is with regard to load shedding. We are told, leave coal, go for green, go for alternative energy. We're not opposed to that. But we're not going to go for anything new without a base. Coal is our base. And when we break new ground, you can't break new ground without having a base. You consolidate your base and then you break new grounds. If green is going to give me 1,000 megawatts, then I can go and close a coal power station of 1,000 megawatt capacity because I've already developed alternative of 1,000 megawatt. We are made to celebrate nonsense, but people are shutting down power stations, and then from there they don't know where to get an alternative source of energy. We can't allow that. So the same coal that we must not use, we are even given money not to use it, gets into the trucks. Where does it go? Leave China because you hate it. It's going there, that's fine. But it's also going to Germany. It's also going to UK. There was a debate that UK is actually trying to revive one of its biggest coal power stations. They're getting from the same coal that we have signed that we must not use it. As a result, we don't have electricity. Secondly, the power stations must be security national key points. So whoever works there must have a security clearance so that we will not sabotage from that strategic position. But these power stations must be serviced and maintained. The maintenance money and servicing of power station must not go into the pockets of the people. The power station must have people who are well capacitated, qualified engineers. And even if it's cadre deployment, nothing wrong with it. It ought to be on merit. As long as you've got the proper qualification, whether you are ANC or not, get the job. There is a person there who decides that we are going to level 6, stage 6, stage 3, stage 6, stage 1. It's called system controller. Ask one minister of the ANC, do you know who system controller is? They don't know. They just get told we are now going to 6. And they don't have the technical know-how to counter that we are not at a point where we require stage 6. So you do as you are told, because you have got no state capacity to deal with such issues. Those are the key issues that we believe as the EFF, if we address these issues, we'll have a proper country. There is no one here who must say to us, there must not be a state bank. Because a state bank, nationalization of banks means the state must establish its own bank. And they say, no, RMB is going to have a problem. This will lead to the RMB closure. There is a school here called Grindstein, Sundown. There's a public school here called Grindstein High School. There is a school here called St. David's Private School. The public school has not led to the closure of the private school. There is a private hospital. There is a public hospital. The public hospital has never led to the closure of a private hospital. Why would the ownership of a bank, a public bank, lead to the closure of the private banks? The banks are opposed to that because they're exploiting our people. We are going to establish a state-owned bank and give our people good interest rates, not driven by the need and desire to maximize profit. We must make the money, we must generate our money back, make some profit, but our people should be able to live. Our teachers, our nurses, even doctors, no, let's leave doctors, teachers, nurses, and these civil servants don't qualify for cars, don't qualify for houses. No bank wants to finance them. Doctors, highly educated, 7 years. The biggest car they can drive is Golf 5. Golf 5. That's what they qualify for.
Mr. Malema, could I interrupt you there? Are you going to bank with this bank? Are you going to put your own money?
Yes. That's where the salaries of the employees of the state are going to be paid from there. The monies of all the departments are going to be banked from there. And we are not going to use any of your money to build a state bank. We already have money in the African bank. The other day I said Net Bank, and someone was like, I realized, oh yeah, African bank, through the Reserve Bank, we have shares in African bank. So why can't we grow our shares in African bank and ultimately push everyone out and take African bank to be a state bank? Because already we're participating. It's not going to be the first time the state participates in the bank. Why is the state being pushed away? The state is being pushed away because private financial institutions are scared of competition. They thrive through